I know back-to-back days. Got to get it real quick before I get real busy again doing other stuff that I got to do. So I got to tell the people what's on my mind. Thoughts that have been festering. Um, the price of justice. Remember the other day I told you guys about this sweet potato here. One moment. Mhm. Nope, not enough. Mhm. Looks like they okey doke me, y'all. So it's supposed to be a white inside. Has a sweet potato outside. Looks like I'll have to go get another one. Overly ripe. No worries. I have a I've had a bunch of white inside ones. I looked at it the other day and I had scraped some skin off and I was like, oh, I don't think it's actually white on the inside. But so we see it. It's actually a lightly orange. Um, Nonetheless, this is still a sweet potato. I don't think this is a yam. It doesn't look like a yam, and I know I bought it from the sweet potato section. So, but typically they're like a beige white color. They're not the same kind of white color that a normal potato is. Neither here nor there. This will be devoured tonight either way. Now, my point is this: is that justice, right? The price of it, the pursuit of it, as you seek out peace, because you have to pursue all these things all at once. They're all in conjunction and congruence of one another. So that way they're with and together. I won't get too carried away. But if I bring somebody in together as a group, but I try them out different parts, I brought them in with it. I brought them in together, but they're not doing this with one another. They're not doing this together. It's a totally different concept. Um, I'll just go get another sweet potato and probably go live on my birthday just to show you guys the difference. Because in the South, they call yams sweet potatoes. They call sweet potatoes yams. Uh, and I've had a bunch of sweet potatoes that I think I've showed people throughout the years, you know. But that right there, that's justice. I scraped it last night. Cause I was like, yeah, I forgot to do it. And I scraped it and I looked at it and I was like, damn, is this thing even white on the inside? Gotta really, that's justice though. Uncomfortable? No. Um, Aggravated? No. Scratching my head a little bit? Yeah. Because all my last, I don't know, 8 or 9 sweet potatoes that I done bought up until this one have all been white on the inside. And I've been telling myself I got to show the people what a sweet potato looks like. So to have cut that one in half and been like, that's a sweet potato. It was in the sweet potato aisle, unless they got it confused. That's justice. I always do the right thing. Um, in my own mind, I'm not afraid of me looking any sort of way. Uh, the price of justice is accountability. See how I was accountable for myself just then? Now, what that this is indeed the same piece that I said I would treat like gold. yesterday. This is not the peace. This is the peace. And for all the brainiacs out there, like I knew that was a yam. No, it's a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes come in that yellow beige color, that orange color. But and that's not what this is about. But that was part of this. People try so hard to not be wrong that it's shameful. Whereas they could show their room for growth. Room for my growth. Slightly robust, off colored sweet potatoes might not be white. And I know that this is a sweet potato. Once again, I just not trust me, y'all. I buy yams and sweet potatoes all the time. Um, red yams, purple yams. I'm not sure what they look like. I'm not even sure if they even sell them every state. Uh, I'm sure they do, but I'm sure they're not available in every location. Um, and that was a beautiful thing, though, where it's like you have to be accountable. That's the price of justice. You expect one thing and get another. That is the price of justice. People are like, what do you mean? Do you guys remember when Joseph's brothers betrayed him, sold him to the Ishmaelites? You guys remember that? You guys remember when he got sold to these people? That they sold him then to the Egyptians? Anybody remember that? Does anybody remember when Joseph became hardest worker in the land? Does anybody remember when the wife of the eunuch tried to force herself onto Joseph? Does anybody remember when Joseph went to prison? Do they remember his prophecies in those prisons? I mean, excuse me, in his time in prison. They remember him being forgot about and then being remembered and then eventually being made the head of the entire thing. Back to the original point, his brothers who sold him. Do you guys remember when his brothers were deathly afraid of Joseph? Deathly. And they went to Joseph after their father had passed away, and they offered all themselves to being his servants. And Joseph was like, nah, man, you guys is going to live great here. Right on? He took care of them. And he told them, what you guys did to me that was supposed to be evil was a good thing. God made it a proper righteous thing because he made it to where I could look out for you guys because you wouldn't have made it through this famine. Right. Now, I'm taking different parts from different parts, but I'm making it to make sense. People probably don't remember when Joseph was rebuked by his father, Yosef, whatever his name is, was rebuked by Jacob or Jacob, whatever his name is too. And he said that he was going to be that even the sun and the moon would bow to him, and the stars would also bow to him. Right on. And his father rebuked him. But Joseph was mindful of this when he said it. Now, is your favorite child always going to end up being the child that bails you out? No. In the end, no. Are you always going to get some kind of, right, once again? That's not how life is written. But these are the people that are chosen. And I guess I have to say it about them too. Uh, since they're not Jews, they'd have to be Gentiles, I guess. I'm not being facetious. I'm just being meech. I know they're actually not, but the idea that they're not Jews, everybody not a Jew is a Gentile. I got to get retarded with it, you know. However, he gave his brothers what they did not think was coming. They thought for sure that the justice that they deserved was to be put to death. At least they were like, he about to kill us all and our families. They were terrified, right? They were rattled, as people would say. Understandably so, and rightfully so. They sold out their younger brother, but their brother had the wisdom, the foresight, and the understanding, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to see and to know that the Most High God put him in this position, that he would prevail in this position. His brothers thought that the price of justice would be their life, but it was in fact the opposite. They were justified in their cause. Does the end justify the means? I don't know. The people can only tell me what they think and what they understand. I'm only asking because I would like to know. Do the ends justify the means? That's what I thought. I'm not saying to betray people, turn over your people, to put your people in a position where in which they are totally powerless. I'm saying that just know that this is the real meaning of forgiving your enemies. And the price of justice is that much. Did I say it's forgiving the wicked? Nope. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. Because every wicked person is not knowably your enemy. You can claim that all the wicked are your enemy, but the only problem with that is that you would have to identify their wickedness and know for a fact that that is wickedness in order for you to speak on that and for you to address that and for you to stand by that and to stand on that. However, like most regular folks, like myself, you have to see things and identify them and then make that distinction. But for all the people and for anyone who believes that you can identify wickedness easily, tell me how. I'll leave that there. Having said that part, for all those who forgive their enemies, this is the price of true justice. See, you can't execute justice out of anger. Does that make sense? You can execute vengeance, out of anger, but not real justice. Justice is neutral. Justice is an alkaline feature more than it is acidic. It is a baseline. It's to base it out, not to make it toxic, abrasive, corrosive. Not to say that you can't do that using things that are supposed to base out or neutralize something, that they themselves can't become a toxic, corrosive thing, but the idea. So when you have this concept where people do not even know the price of justice, like I said, I'll forgive people when they're underneath my feet. That doesn't mean that I can't relax and forgive them right now. It's the same forgiveness. I know that Christ said he didn't come here for peace, but he also didn't said he's not pursuing peace. He just said, think not I come here for peace. What does that mean? It means exactly what he said. Don't think he came here for peace. I come with the sword. But the sword does bring peace. Mhm. The sword does bring peace. Unfortunately. Before you would take an action against somebody, would you readily forgive them or would you still hate them afterwards? That's what I mean by forgiving your enemies, prematurely. If you already understand that you're about to take action against them, why would you continue to take action or to have vitriol within the action taken? It's enough. It's supposed to happen, right? What happened to my father was supposed to happen, undoubtedly. He was living the life of a double agent, saying one thing, doing another, and it caught up with him eventually. It's no different. That's the price of justice. In order for him to be served his just desserts, he had to be exposed, and it took his eventual demise. Even though we asked, or at least I asked, and I sought to know what was what, he didn't speak these things. Let me just say this right here, y'all. It's just how life has to go. People must learn the price of justice. They're not willing to pay that price. They think they are, but they're not. If everything you've done in your life has been just, I mean truly just, you've nothing to worry about. But if you're like the rest of us and you've sinned more than once, the price for justice will be you having to forgive those of your enemies. And your enemies are not just people who are those in your own household, so to speak, But those without, do you have the energy and the ability to say what they done to me is okay? Will you be able to see it? Will you be able to withstand to see that? Like, can you actually take that? People ask every day for God to take the enemies out of their lives. When you ask for that, are you sure you're ready for God to take your enemies out of your life? The price of justice is something that you could never, ever underestimate. If you do something wicked and you gain from it, all that you gained from it eventually can be lost in a wicked way. And you'll be stuck at why? But you know why deep down, or did you forget the things that you done? This is why you have people who have family members who are so indifferent to their demise. Not because of what they personally did, but because of what this person may have done. Right. Every day, there's somebody who's gunned down. Little dude was humping on this little chick. This little chick is getting humped on by these other little dudes. Whole clique of them tells the little clique that Joe Snuffy killed Bobo. Now these niggas want to kill Joe Snuffy. That's why Joe Snuffy continued to get laid out because he killed Bobo. And they all smashing the same chick or the same females. It's like literally, I mean, it's clockwork. It's hella clockwork. And if not that, they gay boy thugging. So it's even easier clockwork. It's not that I never see you with a woman. It's just that, bro, you do certain things with the females that other dudes don't do. This nigga's painting his nails. That's a telltale sign of something going on with this dude. Y'all can say that's just what he does. He's a shooter. He's a that. This nigga's a weirdo, bro. Right. But you ain't gonna say nothing because you know he is a shooter. Or at least that's what they think. This is how the shit happens. The price of justice is forgiving your enemies because I already know what's about to happen to you. I know what's coming. I already can see it. So I might as well forgive you. I went from hating these niggas and flexing on them to being like, damn, it's the end is nigh for a lot of you dudes. Don't get mad at me because it's close. Don't get mad at me because it's coming. Do not get flustered because it's right here, right now, and it's on your lap. It's coming soon to a theater, to a block, to a corner, to a street near you. And all the communities who think they're gonna escape the perpetual justice that will take place. Justice, in my book, is doing the right thing even when it makes you uncomfortable. Now, the price of justice is just accountability. I held myself accountable. Did I try to lie to you guys and be like, oh yeah, I'm sure? No. I, I can show you the part on it that made me think it was, you know, when I seen that little white part right there, I was like, oh yeah, that's white on the inside. Because I was thinking that's the exposed flesh, but that was just a scarred piece of the herb that had tissued over. Lesson learned. But that's the justice, is the accountability part. The price of justice is only one thing, accountability. That's the only price of it. There is no other price to pay for justice. People are like, what does accountability means? Accountability is knowing that you're doing what you're supposed to do. That's accountability. Did they do what they're supposed to do? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? If my job is to keep somebody else accountable for their accountability, and and that's it right there. It's just my level to their level, and then it's the base initiation of whatever activity. That's one thing. But if it's I'm accountable for another person who's 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 accountable to the person who actually does the base work. Now we're talking about so many different levels of accountability. This is why justice sometimes is difficult for people to see it being played out because it's there's different tiers of it that have to play out. You see what I'm saying? Like watching somebody who would never get locked up ever on an earth where they hold the poorest of people to the highest level of accountability is not justice. It's not. Justice would be a non redacted list of those who visited Epstein Island. Justice would be suing, bankrupting uh, uh, any businesses that are still in business that profiteered or made money off of the Playboy logo. Playboy, anything. Yeah, rappers, all of them. Rock stars, all of them. Video games, everything. That's justice. That's accountability. That's the price for it. Accountability. That would, and people are like, why? Because for all the women and all the young girls that were sexually exploited, you can be like, that was their own choice. That's like, so at what level do we say it's their own choice? You guys say it's their own choice only because now somebody might get in trouble from benefiting off of that. Imagine how many drug dealers went down, didn't tell on their clientele. Think about that for a moment. You can say, oh, no, no, think about that. But you want them to pay the price to society. A drug user and a drug seller do not get the same criminal punishment within the penal system. They're not treated the same. A perpetual user is not treated the same way as a perpetual seller. But yet, you would say for the lady who, the young girl, the adolescent, whatever she was, whenever she was violated, claims and says she was violated, you would say that she's out of line because she put herself there, all in the same breath saying that the government brought in the dope and saying that, well, these niggas who sell dope, it's their own fault. Then all in the same breath, talk about people who I've been saying for years are sexual deviants. Now, what I think is awkward is this right here is that there's no correlation between those who were not held accountable for sexual deviance and those who were not held accountable for the people who bring in narcotics and sell them because they all look the same. I bet you $10 to a penny. I mean, because they always got a special coming out trying to show you how it was somebody of color or a nigga who jumped the shit off. But I'm gonna bet you $10 to a penny that the very, 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 very first person in this country. Talking about person being from one of them groups of them Anglo dudes who took over and ran roughshod over all the indigenous, aboriginal, and native populace. I can guarantee you that one of those dudes brought not only the vice of liquor and contraband to those individuals, not only that, but they popularized prostitution. I'm gonna say it like this. You can't get mad about arranged marriages and then turn around and breed animals. Follow my point. People will tell you that the same animals that they breed or that they have bred before love them and that they genuinely love the animal back. So you don't think that that animal loves could choose who it wants to be in love with, all in the same, as far as another similar or like species or the very same species it is. So when you say that, and then you don't, right, once again, the the price of justice is accountability. We have to look at the things that we do as people and hold ourselves accountable. I don't do these things. I don't breed animals, but people do breed animals, right? And they crossbreed them and they do all kinds of things. Would you once again, how different are you from slavers to crossbreed one kind of dark skinned people with another kind of dark skinned people and then see what you get? So when you play the game of or act like it's your, I don't see how you can do that to somebody and try to say that it's justice. You can't tell me that any kind of justice was ever served if for whatever reason, and I'm saying that for real life, again, they can arrange the breeding pattern of certain animals or attempt to. The same so-called people, if you did that to them, they would say that you took their proclivity away from them, the proliferation, whatever the fuck words you want to use, their ability to choose all on their own, agency, not their freedom. You rob them of their agency. But the same individuals will rob another living being of their agency and then claim that they love that being. Does that not sound like slavery? I'm sure there was a whole bunch of white people and white looking people who said that they love their niggas. I love these niggas because everything they got was off the back of those niggas. Some of them said that they hated them niggas and would never love them. But I'm sure there was a bunch of white folks who said that, man, I love these niggas. And let's talk about this real quick before I get up off this. The price of justice, right? Accountability. See, the North was never accountable to the South. The North thought, listen, the North thought they could, without the promise of a damn tiddlywink, they could get black slaves who fought for their own liberation, not once but twice now, to go up north and try to start new lives, working for the dirt. Because remember, only certain slaves had like the skills that they wanted at that time. The people who would be uprooted out of the South would be put into cities that the Rockefellers and people of a similar ilk would pay to have those cities built. They would have the people who would live in and inhabit those same places that you call projects now, build them. The same projects for the most part, no matter how they're inhabited, because you got to realize they didn't get all, you have to spread people out. If 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 everybody from the bottom floor to the second to last floor all live clean, I mean everybody, the one person on the top floor could live like a complete utter slob, complete piece of shit. And guess what? Guess what that means? Yep, you guessed it. Everybody else has problems now. They forced black people to live in high rises that they forced them to help build from individuals who were coming from places in Europe where they already lived like that. They already lived stacked on top of one another and they didn't mind it and all the debauchery that comes with it. They created situations that never existed. The government and those who they let fund these projects. The price of justice is accountability. It will cost you way more to achieve justice than it will cost you, okay, to turn a blind eye. But the blind eye, here's the craziest part. You end up paying almost just as much as you do to turn a blind eye as you would just to go out of your way and pay the real price for justice. Once again, justice is doing the right thing even when it makes you uncomfortable. Justice at its bottom line is accountability. Do you think any one of them wants to be accountable for the fact that, once again, men, women, and young adolescents who were of a pubescent age where they could produce children were forced now into relationships where they could produce children? Is anybody saying that that's wrong? Is anybody saying, hey, that was evil? Is- Okay, if you're saying that's wrong, then you must feel the same way about an animal that's bred like that. You can't have two different minds about it. How is what's happening to you unjust, but what's happening to this other thing not unjust? Accountability, right. See, it makes people uncomfortable. It makes people uncomfortable, brother, to see what the real is. And no, bro, top of the evening to you, bro. I know it's I don't look in the next hour or less, it's gonna get nice and dark. It's just the sun is just flexing in the background. But but right on, brother. Trust me, man. And I'm talking about this stuff and I'm saying it for real because don't nobody want to hear the truth. And then the truth is the truth. And they don't want to hear what it is. Accountability is the only way for real justice because you have to look at everything the same way that it is or in a comparative stance. Like I was just saying, it's hard for me to say that, okay, a dog breeder, let's say all they breed is Yorkie poos. Let's just use that for an example. And they're making all the dogs are getting their shots, everything, right? They're getting all their paperwork, and they're selling these dogs for anywhere from 1,800 to 2 grand a pop, right? Now that's a Yorkie and a poodle. Now some of these dogs are born with birth defects, no matter what. But that's the chance that they're willing to run as the dog breeder. Listen, as the dog breeder, they're willing to run that chance. It's not their life on the line, it's the little dogs. So now we have a situation where, as opposed to people actually being truly understanding, they're actually profiteering off the suffering of another. And black people have to look at it the same way I would say this about anything. So if you prostitute your daughter out, if you sell dope to the people, if you go down and whoop up on old folks and take, their wallets and their purses, if you're a swindler, and dishonest and still, because you can be a thief and never physically put your hands on nobody. Right on. You can thief from people and never ever lay hands on them. All the different things that folks do, from being gay boys and gay girls running around and all that other extra, the accountability is at an all-time low. But yet they would be mad about an arranged marriage, but don't mind breeding another animal. They would cry about um the products in the grocery store, but you're not mad because people are bringing in dangerous, toxic chemicals that are literally killing people their first time being introduced to them. At some point, folks have to like wake up and realize. And then also with that, there's the factor of, have they forgiven their enemies? Will they? I forgive my enemies. It's easy to. I like once again. I know they'll truly be forgiven once I know they're done and out of here. Right on. Those are like the work, but I'm starting to feel like that's just the wicked. My true, real enemies, I can forgive them. People that I love that are antagonistic or that are confrontational to whatever it is that I'm doing in that moment, right? I can say that you can call that an enemy. Does that mean that they're against your very mortal existence? No. It just means that whatever you were doing, they didn't support. Typically, that's what a real enemy is. An enemy is somebody that's not supportive. So when you have this concept of people wanting their enemies or unsupportive people, right? Uh, to relax because they're gonna forgive them. That's not how it works. You just forgive them all because you can. All because you know that it's all right. What's about to happen to them, they're not gonna come back from. You feel what I'm saying? They're not gonna make it. They're not. Forgive all your enemies, especially the people that look like you. They're not gonna make it from that, bro. I'm not just talking about dying and being dead. I'm talking about the other stuff behind death. Whether now there's a decision of to where this energy goes to. Does it go back to the original source or does it go somewhere to be refined and recreated? Somewhere dark and terrible and horrible and scary beyond all belief. I can't decide that. All I'm saying is this: we're going to have more people in the next year or so give up, not on themselves, but they're going to give up on justice because the price of justice is going to be too high for them. Do you forgive your debts? Or, excuse me, forgive my debts. You know what I'm saying? As I ask my debtors to forgive me. Come on, forgive them all. Do forgive my debts as I ask my debtors to forgive me. Because the truth be told, nobody owes anybody anything. People hate to hear, I know people hate to hear that. The real price of justice is realizing that. But the first part, the most important part, is accountability. And when they can be accountable for themselves, then they can realize no one owes you anything. No one. Like literally, like a bank is not owed money by another place that they said that they do business with. Once you gave up whatever it is, that's it. So if a bank gives you a loan, that's it. They don't You don't owe them the money. If they didn't have it to give or they didn't want to give it to you, they shouldn't have gave it. Just like in any other thing in real life. If you can't afford to lose it, if you can't afford to not have it back, don't give it. Period. That's the same. That's the principle for life. That's the baseline principle for real life. If you cannot afford to lose it, don't give it. So nobody owes anybody anything. On that level, when you agree that you are going to do something and you do it for an unnamed, innumerable number of groups, unnamed, innumerable number of groups. I repeat, unnamed, innumerable number of groups. And you refuse to do so for an unnamed group that you've done for everyone else, that which would be right, that which would be proper, it tells everybody that you're not trying to seek justice because it's not about what you would be owed or what you feel that group owes you. Right on. It's about accountability. It's about doing the right thing, even when it makes you uncomfortable. So even if you feel like you're not comfortable giving this group of people this, you still do it anyway. This is why my whole take on justice, peace, all that will always be different. My take on peace is the for real take on my take on peace is the for real take on peace. There will be no peace without some sort of confrontation, unless everybody can agree to be peaceful. And the agreements to being peaceful, that means that you agree to give to those that which deserve it the most. The indigenous populations on this earth deserve their repatriations before every other group. I don't claim to be of them. They deserve theirs first. I didn't say they deserve the most. I didn't say that they deserve the most. I said that they deserve theirs first. It's that simple. I've been said that. I always said that. This is their land. They deserve whatever the fruit of this land bears more than anyone else. It's theirs. Even if I have progeny or maternal progeny, right on, in the land, maternal progenitors in the land, people who come from my mother's side, on my mother's side, and my father's mother's side, who are indigenous native people. That's not that's not enough because I claim to be a people who were brought here. And I feel like what they are owed and what they deserve is different, and it's more and greater than those who were living in the land before. And all those who claim to be an amalgamate group cannot claim to get the greater of both groups. You get the lesser because you can't decide who you want to be. There would never be a way where a house dog will be the alpha male of a pack of wolves. Can you hear me? It'll never happen. Never. Never. On some farm where they can experiment it, sure. But in the real life wild, nah. They're wolves. That's a dog. At best, he can run with them and hope to keep up. Progeny ain't gonna be no dog though. It's gonna be more of a wolf. And then that progeny is gonna be a wolf for sure. So how long until that dog is no longer a dog but a wolf? I don't even want to talk about that. I'm just saying that the facts are the facts and the truth is the truth, and people hate the truth because the truth only has one feeling, and that's honesty. And like my father used to say, a lie doesn't care who tells it, son. And I would rebuttal, and I'd be like, but neither does the truth, Dad. And he would always look at me with this crazy look. Yeah, because I was right. He was right. He never lied. A lie does not care who tells it. Inevitably, inadvertently, and indefinitely, neither does the truth. These are the type of things that you have to talk to people about because they don't know it, because they can't understand it. Again, before I roll out, I thought this was supposed to be a white sweet potato. Turned out to be a yellow looking one. And no, 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 it's not a yam. It's not a yam. I bought this in the sweet potato section. Um, I got a yam, I got two yams and a sweet potato, like I always get. And this was in the sweet potato section. I'm not gonna say that I forgot that sweet potatoes come in that color. They just almost never have any like that. They're almost always a I can't show you nothing I have in here. I'll have to just go get one and then show you guys. Like they're like a beige white looking color though, and they don't look like a regular potato, but they look like a potato. And this one, up until I cut it in half, and I actually got to look at it, and there was no exposure to it. It looked like a chunky sweet potato. Like, I've had a bunch of them that are rounded, robust like that, but this one right here, they're typically like a little bit longer, but I was like, whatever. I've had them like that before, and I just put them on the mandolin and shave them down, or chop them up. But yeah, that right there threw me off. But that's justice. I can't be afraid to show people what's right. To be a liar is to be a sucker. Look, this man right here, once again, he made it from World War II just so that way I could get here. Oh yeah, he made it, and they don't have to believe it. He did that which was right. They can't believe that people look that much alike, like their people. It's a blessing. Everybody should have something like that to look at to know I am who I say I am. Before I get ready to go, I just have to say this right here real quick. They would rather you believe that justice is them confirming their own goodwill on paper with ink and paper to be for sure. They would rather you think that. On ink and paper, they put down that individuals could have a piece of land that people are already living on, right, wrong, or indifferent, how they got there. They then also said that it would be okay to remove these people by force. Now, here we are almost 100 years later, and they're just now realizing, holy shit, you can't treat people like that. Now, they've been treating us like this for hundreds of years. Name one time, and I leave on this note, the price of justice. Because we have been, the people who have been accountable have been held accountable. They murdered Dr. King, they knocked his whole head off, split it all the way wide open. So, if they can do that to him and nobody be held accountable, it's a rogue shooter. If nobody can be held accountable, if they can do that to him and nobody be held accountable, understand they weren't in the age where we are now, where you drop the addy, people can just pull up on you and all that. No, 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 hell no. They murdered that man because he knew that the price of justice was accountability. And to be accountable, you had to give people what it is that they deserve. And what do people here deserve the most? To be made whole. That is the price of justice, brothers and sisters. That is the inevitable outcome from the price of justice. If they are held to account, we will be made whole. I salute you. I salute you again. And I salute you once more. I hope that everybody can understand what it is that I'm saying and truly get that. These aren't, I'm not a shock jockey. I'm not here to hear myself speak because everything that I say, I've already said to myself pretty much. So I'm just sharing these thoughts so that way you can put them in your own head and say, okay, there will never be justice without accountability. And in the pursuit of peace, I must treat everyone how I would love to be treated, how I must and have to want to be treated. And after that, I must pursue justice. Come on. Justice has to be it. And the price of justice is accountability. Mm, 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 mm. Until then.